Welcome to Resource Management. I'm Rob Brown, but I'm not the host.
No, this is my podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, welcome to Resource Revolution. That is
Hello,
the proper
and
name for
welcome to Resource Revolution, the resource management
This
podcast.
is Christine Robinson. She is the host.
I'm
Rob Brown, the guest.
Robinson. I am the host of
I'm
today's
used to being
show.
on the other side of the microphone. That's the problem.
It's podcast reverse podcast. You got to remember whose show you're on.
Okay.
This is my show.
Sorry.
This is my show. Today we have Rob Brown. Well, since you know what? Why don't you just introduce yourself?
I'm Rob Brown. I'm usually on the other side of the podcast, and I host a number of different podcasts in the accounting space. So it's a privilege to be interviewed by Christine Robinson and talking about all things resource management and accounting. And yeah, that's a good introduction to get us started. But former high school math teacher, black belt in kickboxing, father of 2 daughters, take medication for epilepsy. I don't drive because I had a stroke a few years ago. And I love shining a light on people in the accounting space that are doing amazing things. How about that? Will that work?
Well, you know what? That was pretty good. I hate to admit that was actually pretty good.
Well, it was a bit personal and a bit professional.
It was I have to give, credit where it's due.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of different things there. I'm planning to ask you about every single one of them. Okay, so just get ready.
Let's go deep.
I've
signed the non-disclosure agreement.
Let's go deep. Yeah, let's go deep. So you got a couple things going on there. Let's get into back from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning. So you started off as a high school math teacher.
Yeah, I graduated as a maths teacher.
Okay.
And taught physical education as well. So they give you a dual degree. So I was always into sports.
Okay.
But in England, at least, when you do a phys ed degree, they make you do a second subject. So you're not teaching hockey or soccer on the cold playing fields of England in the winter in your 50s.
Okay.
So I taught mathematics as well. And I just found the classroom more enticing than the playing fields. And so I got into math teaching. I did 4 years in the UK and 4 years in Hong Kong. So I was always comfortable with the numbers. But I ended up coaching kids to pass tests. And that's not the game. That's not education.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people in teaching and education will relate to that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I get that. That makes sense. What I don't quite understand is, so how did you get from there to where you are now?
That's
the
bridge, isn't it? Yes. So I wanted to get out of teaching, and I took a master's in human resource management, human resource development. I'm thinking, what am I good for as a teacher? Well, I can motivate an audience. I can go into training and development and learning and coaching and mentoring and that kind of thing. And I happened to go to a networking event where there were lots of bankers, accountants, and lawyers and architects and surveyors and super smart people that were brilliant at what they do, but they were lousy at having conversations and networking and working in a room and selling themselves and building their reputation. And I thought there's an opportunity here to teach them this better if they are open to teaching it. And these types, they're really coachable. They've got qualifications coming out of their ears.
Yeah.
They're very disciplined on learning and acquiring new skills, and they've got a brain for such a depth of knowledge, but they've always known that they need to be they're better at selling themselves and talking up what they do. Bit like resource management professionals. It's a well-kept secret.
Yes,
so we need to be shouting from the rooftops.
I hear you on that.
So I taught them the skills of networking, walking into a room, introducing yourself, remembering names, how to come across as credible, how to make people want to take your business card and keep in touch with you and follow up with you, how to differentiate yourself from everyone else in the room, and how to sell yourself and all the great things that you do.
Yeah.
Because we need to do that, don't we? It's no good being good at your job these days. You've got to have a level up from that.
Oh, absolutely. And today, I mean, your digital presence matters quite a bit. People know a lot about you before they actually meet you.
Well, if you talk about accountants, there are a million great technically proficient accountants. Right. There are so many great resource management professionals. There are so many great technologists. What separates the good from the great? If somebody needs what you do, why should they come to you first above and beyond all of their other choices, including the choice to do it themselves?
Right.
So you've got to give people a reason to come up with you, to think of you, to refer you, to recommend you, to introduce you. And that means putting something in someone's minds that is a spark. It just makes them think, Christine Robinson, she's my go-to girl. Or when they're talking about you and you're not there, this is reputation, isn't it?
Yes.
What are people thinking about you? They want to be saying, you've got to talk to Christine Robinson about that. She's the only girl in town. She's the only one you want to be talking to. If you want to get that done, Christine is the one to speak to. How do we get to that position in someone's mind?
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense to me, right? Because what you're describing is you like to teach, right? And you're getting an opportunity to do that in a way that it sounds like it's very gratifying. It's interesting to me, you walk in and you see this, you see this need, and you're able to contribute to that. You're working in this profession, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I say this with love. Accountants are amazing.
You're being very diplomatic.
I am. Well, I am married to one.
Right.
So I speak from experience. This world is a very specific, especially in the traditional public accounting firm. It's a very specific culture, a certain model that, for the most part, hasn't really been shaken up for a while. Now it is, right, with the PE and many, many mergers, and there's a lot going on right now, right? But in general, I agree with you. The communication skills, the executive presence, maybe that's part of it.
I'm sure we'll come to that. But your original point was, am I still teaching? I do love the teaching side of it, but my career has evolved as predominantly a podcaster. I interview people for a living.
Yes.
So I'm less teaching the audience and more shining a light on other people that have the expertise to teach the audience. So I'm curating the learning and the insight. So I am where you are most of the time.
Yeah.
In asking great people, what are you doing? What's working? What isn't working? What happens if people don't do that? What does the future look like for them? So I have channeled the learning and the insights. I do my own stuff. I talk a lot to an accounting audience about how to be more relevant and informed and competitive and the go-to person for what they do and the importance of visibility and reputation and presence. So I have that body of work. But generally, I'm talking to other people and saying, what conversations are you having about what's going on? What's coming up for you? So I've become this receptacle for all of these different people. For instance, I'm doing a series right now called Accounting Reflections 2025, and I'm interviewing 40 people in the accounting game, technology, finance, and saying to them the same 5 questions. What's defined the year for accountants? Second question is, what's challenged or disappointed or frustrated you this year? Third question is, what news item or deal or decision or event or conversation has changed your thinking this year? Fourth question, what skills and attributes do leaders need to stay relevant and competitive next year? Fifth question, what's one thing you're pretty sure is going to happen next year? And you can imagine asking 40, 50 people the same 5 questions.
Yeah.
That body of work that's generated in all the different perspectives. For instance, they'll all say AI, artificial intelligence in one form or another, but it's all the different takes on that. I'll give you an example. There's a guy called Calvin Harris, who is chair of the New York State Society for CPAs. Mm-hmm. There's 5 really big CPA state societies: Pennsylvania, Texas, California, Florida, New York. Calvin said, and the last big thing to define accounting was the Excel spreadsheet. It changed the game. Calvin said, AI is the new Excel spreadsheet. It's changing the game. Mm-hmm. What a wonderfully succinct way to put what is happening in accounting right now.
Yeah.
That the way it pivoted the whole industry with the spreadsheet instead of doing it on paper with a double entry bookkeeping and your ledger and everything else back in the 70s and 80s. It just changed the way people think about it. And AI is doing that right now. So getting all of those different perspectives, I am a collector of what works. So that's educating the audience. That's teaching for me now.
It really is. It really is. It's getting the word out. I love the idea of shining the spotlight on someone else. That really resonates with me. Part of why I think you and I click so well is because we have a couple of things in common. One, we matched outfits and this was just pure.
I called your style guru and said, "What's Christine wearing today, and what would complement that?"
I should have known. They should have told me that. It's you can't trust anyone these days. We also really like what you just said, connecting with other people. Really, really like it. And part of actually what I was struggling. So, I prep. I prep, of course, before I talk with people. I prep, before our episodes. And the prep is really around, look, this is something that I know they really want to talk about, or there's something going on right now that I know that they can comment on, or, they've told me that these are 3 areas that they believe they can help people, learn about. But I struggled prepping for this one because I think you and I could go on talking for hours and hours and hours.
We could, but how relevant would that be?
No,
to
that's
our
true. Well,
audience
that's
here?
the thing is I said to Laura, shout out Laura, I said we have to actually try to keep this together because I feel like I can go in too many different directions. So my prep is a little bit different for that one. You just said a bunch of stuff and I'm like, oh, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. But let's try to
There's a
try to
great
keep it
quote
together.
by a leadership guru called John Maxwell, and he says, "Say no to the good so you can say yes to the great."
Oh,
And there's so many good things we
yes.
could be talking about.
Yes.
But what are the great things that would edify us, but also encourage the audience?
Well, I have a great one. You talk to accounting professionals all the time. You've been in this space. You host a podcast. You talk to leaders all the time. What have you seen related to resource management? Why haven't you focused on it yet? What's your thought on it? What do you think about resource management?
Resource management is still a well-kept secret. It's a little bit like AI in that it's there, but nobody quite understands it.
I hear you.
And it has so much potential, but nobody really appreciates what it can do.
Yep.
And that's nobody's fault directly, but resource management of resources, it's an art and it's a science.
Yes.
And I had this conversation a lot. You say I talk to accounting leaders a lot. I talk to accounting thought leaders a lot. So people that have the ear of accountants. Some of those are
Right.
accountants
Fair.
who speak
fair
to
point.
other accountants. But it's the coaches, consultants, trainers, the technology specialists, the heads of societies and networks and associations. They're all speaking into the world of accounting and trying to be a force for good. So I speak to them a lot and ask them, what conversations are you having with accountants? But going back to resource management, accounting is in a similar position. So if we're honest, a lot of people will say accounting has a brand image problem. What's the evidence for that? Well, less and less people are coming in to do accounting degrees and choosing accounting as a major. People are leaching out of accounting and going into finance or industry or tech or out of accounting altogether. And there's the whole talent pipeline problem, which is a big driver of change and disruption in accounting firms. So why aren't people staying in accounting? Why are they leaving? A lot of people will be retiring from accounting in the next few years. It's a top-heavy profession with a lot of elderly people in it. So we've got this situation where accounting needs to attract people, but we don't sell the career of accounting well. I'm always asking people to tell a better story about accounting, tell a better story about resource management. Let's big it up a little more. Let's talk it up more.
Right.
Because if you ask kids at 16, what does an accountant do? You get some really boring answers. And I bet if you ask what's a resource management professional, you wouldn't get anything.
You wouldn't get any answer.
So it's
Yes.
off the map. It's not like, do you remember when we were young? Well, a little bit ahead of your time, but boys, back when I was a kid, we wanted to be train drivers and astronauts and
Right.
firemen. And it was a defined career choice and it was aspirational. Very few people are saying, I want to be an accountant.
Right.
But the truth is, accounting is such a great doorway to many different careers. And even some of the resource management professionals you're working with, they are CPA qualified.
Yes.
They've got that accounting background and they've morphed into a different direction. So the original point is resource management. How do we get it on the map? Well, we can all tell a better story. And the story starts, there are 2 questions that get asked more than any other question with a stranger. Imagine you meet somebody for the first time. The 2 most commonly asked questions, number 1, apart from what's your name, and number 1, people say, so what do you do?
Right.
Gives rise to your elevator pitch, right? That idea of getting in an elevator with somebody you don't know and you've got 10, 12 floors to explain to them, this is what I do, this is why it matters. and they want to take your business card and give you a call. That's
Yeah.
how the original, and the elevator pitch came in from Hollywood. Because back in the days in Hollywood, all of the movie makers used to hang around in these hotel lobbies doing their business, and the script writers would start bombarding these movie makers with, here's my script, make this movie, this is a great movie. And the story goes, I hope this is a true story because it's great, that a script writer and the movie makers would start to avoid them and jump in the elevators, the lifts, so that they wouldn't get hit by these script writers. This movie maker, I don't know his name, but he jumped in an elevator, and this script writer jumped in with him just as the doors were closing. And he said, I've got an idea for a movie. It's Die Hard on a bus.
Speed.
That was the 5-word pitch for Speed.
I love it.
But that was the idea of what do you say
Yeah.
really quickly to make people think, tell me
Right.
more. So going back to the point, when you're talking yourself up or introducing yourself or letting people into your world, they are going to say, so what do you do?
Right.
And you need a good answer to that, because if you give them a job title, I'm a resource manager, I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, I own this, I do. People put you in a box, or they'll glaze over it, goes
Right.
over their head. And everyone that is in that accounting box or resource management box, they're making up their minds about you right there.
Mm-hmm.
So what can you do to say something a little bit different? So I can certainly give you some thoughts on that. But the second question that people ask you, beyond that, is, how's it going? In England, we say, how do you do? How are you? How are things? In America, they say, what's up?
Yeah.
How's it hanging?
Yeah.
So we want a state of play. So I've asked you what you do. You maybe told me you're a resource manager, or you're a podcaster, or you wear a number of different hats. But you tell me something and I'll say, okay, and how's that going? Or a lovely way I like to ask that question is, what's the biggest thing you're working on right now? Because that tells me what you're doing.
Yes.
But that's a better question, gets a better answer.
Yes.
Now, when I ask you what you do, you have a great chance to open up your life and shine a light on the great things that you're doing, but most people don't,
Right.
because they give their job title. When I ask, how's it going? Most people say, yeah, it's okay, it's busy, it's all right, not too bad, I like it, we're working on, and it's a really boring answer.
Right.
And how are you shining a light on why it's great being you? You're not, because we're so used to these same questions. How's it going? Super busy. How's the weekend? Yeah, it was good. And that's it. So you're big on relationships, and you talked earlier about communication. How do we do that better?
Mm-hmm.
Because people like resource managers, they are underestimated, they're undervalued, they're misunderstood, they're underappreciated. And part of it's their fault in that they don't communicate very well the value that they're adding, the difference that
True.
they're making, the things that they're working on, what the world would look like if they didn't do the great things that
Yeah.
they did. So it comes back to this. We can all tell a better story. So to finish this little segment, I know it feels like I'm doing a lot of talking, but
Go
you
ahead.
are
Go, go,
interviewing
go.
me.
I like it.
To do this better, when people say, so what do you do? By all means, give them a job title. Okay, I'm an accountant. But what that really means is this, or I'm a CPO, I'm a resource manager. And a lot of people think that's really boring, but it's great because. So you're just adding in,
Right.
I'm this, which means this.
Yes.
Or what it really means is, or I sometimes get them to say, well, I'm an accountant, but that you probably meet a lot of accountants. What I do is this, or I'm an accountant, but you probably think that's really boring. Not my job,
Right.
because I do this. So you're putting something on the end of that job title. Yeah, let them put you in a box, but then what you say after that brings you out of a box. Then when they get to how's it going, how are things, what are you up to? Again, you're telling a story. Instead of, well, it's really busy at the moment, you tell them, I'm working on this. Or today was a great example of what I do. Or I've just finished this project and we did this. But you're just giving an example,
Right.
a story, just making it come to life, what you're doing. So tell more stories, give more examples, let people into your world a little bit. And that's what starts a conversation.
It makes perfect sense. And I agree with you that in general, I wonder if people, I don't know that they're choosing not to do it, right? It's that they haven't, it hasn't occurred to them.
They've not been coached it.
Right.
They've not been taught how to walk into a room full of strangers.
Right.
I mean, how difficult do you find it when people say, so Christine, what do you do?
How difficult do I find it to answer the question?
Yeah.
Well, recently, in the last year and a half, to be honest, when somebody asks me the question, I say, what do? I'm having a lot of fun. That's what I say.
Okay.
Because I am.
It's
It's
vague,
true.
but it's intriguing.
That's what I do right now. It's everything that I do right now from a work perspective is, look, what could be more fun than this? I mean, this is, how cool is this? So, look, I hear you. I do think that there is a major opportunity in the resource management space. That's a lot. It's like that's the I don't know if you know, that's the top one.
That's a triple major.
Yeah, 4 doesn't.
It's like
they don't have
Americans
4.
saying, not excited, but I'm super excited.
Exactly.
Or no, I'm proud, I'm super
If
proud.
you really want to get crazy, you can say beyond excited. That's another, yeah.
okay.
But you
That's
got to,
a whole
you
different
you
level.
have to like know what you're,
All right.
because if you use it wrong, then people don't trust you. You know, you have to maintain your credibility. That's part of personal branding. You should know
It
this.
is. Sorry. Yeah, I should have known that.
Okay.
Okay.
So within the resource management space, there is a huge problem. And I agree with you 100%. I wouldn't even say we have bad PR. We just don't have PR. And that's where what you're describing makes perfect sense. The other part is we've got a couple of challenges. One, generally speaking, people don't really know what resource management is. It's not, I'm a doctor. You know, it's they don't even know what it is. So that's one thing. When you're in an organization like a very large public accounting firm, yes, they are going to know what a resource manager is.
Yeah.
They likely are engaged in the resource management process in some form. I'm not saying they like it, but they at least are aware of it and know that they have to do whatever the thing is, right? In other organizations, and I'm talking public accounting here, the mid-ish, let's call it, size organizations, because I can't make a completely blanket statement because, you know, as well as I do, that they're all very different. But generally speaking, those firms are either piloting a resource management process, have recently hired someone from wherever and said, look, you're in charge, design the process, or they have taken a person, probably a very talented person from another part of the firm, and said, you know, you're a resource manager now. And they're in some way sort of early on or early-ish on. And then those smaller firms don't even have it at all. And so that's the environment. And then in addition to that, you have individuals who are, I'm going to say, I really don't think this is inaccurate. I'm going to say 90% of resource managers have not been formally trained in resource management. Essentially none of them. So that leads to people trying their best and learning through trial and error. And the confidence to be able to maintain your personal brand and walk into a room confidently in a boardroom of partners that are very senior, and they all are kind of staring at you, and you walk in and you have to actually, in resource management, deliver a lot of really tough messages. Unfortunately, or I wouldn't say all the time, but oftentimes you do have to be the bearer of bad news. You're the one telling the partner, look, I actually need to take this person off of this job. Why? Well, it's for the greater good of the firm, but they don't want to hear that. You know, you're assigning someone to something that perhaps they're not really in the mood to work on that right now. And so it becomes a situation where that resource manager can feel misunderstood, lonely, you know, all of these things. Isolated is a big one. And that's a hard way to be. So to your point, I agree. It's a two-way street, right? We need to be advocating for ourselves and doing all of these things that you're describing. What are other things that we can be doing? So we talk a lot about celebrating successes. So that's one, and we've kind of talked about that. But any practical, advice that our listeners could kind of take back?
I feel like resource management is an emerging role. We talk about emerging markets or emerging technologies that are trying to get a foothold in the ecosystem of a firm, of a company. And they're very much like that. An example of that was a few years back with DEI leaders, diversity, equity, inclusion.
Yes.
It became a really big thing. We all got woke, we all got liberal,
Yes.
and we all needed diversity programs and leaders to manage those. And that was a deployment of resources and initiatives and training and L&D. So it's an emerging role. If you ask 100 accounting firm leaders, what is resource management? You'll get 110 different answers.
Correct.
So it's misunderstood at the top. But if you asked 100 resource managers, what is resource management? Again, you get 110 different answers. So as an emerging role, it's not fully established. It's not fully formed. It's a lump of clay. It's still being shaped, and different people are shaping it in different ways.
Yeah.
There are pockets of best practice, things that are really working, things that are not. And because it's still evolving, what works and what isn't is not entirely clear. So you have to go back to what makes an emerging role an established role.
Mm-hmm.
What makes it part of the conversation at strategic or board level? That's yet to be proven, because as well as selling it from the inside out, resource managers and DEI professionals, and there's a huge movement called CAS, Client Advisory Services, or Client Accounting Services. That's this move for accountants to go away from the compliance and the historical backward-looking offering, because clients don't want that anymore. They want to know, what does my future look like, to this advice. So CAS leaders are having the same problem in that they're trying to sell this is the future. There's downward pressure on what we used to do with fees. It's becoming less relevant. So how do we keep the revenues up? How do we keep the firm bubbling along? How do we grow? It's going to be giving advice rather than offering compliance. So they're establishing themselves in this new role, fighting for credibility, fighting for board level acceptance, doing it from the inside out as they discover themselves in their role. But also, if they're doing it well, they're finding champions and advocates around the firm that really get it. You just need one or two, because I can sell you in a boardroom better than you can sell yourself.
Yes.
Because I'm detached. I'm a third party. I'm willing to put my reputation on the line to vouch for you. So if we can find those advocates, those champions, those door openers, people that get it, people that you explain it to them and the lights go on, and you know they could be an ally for you.
Yes.
That helps open the doors.
I could not agree more. It's got me thinking about my own career path. And I would like to say that I did good work. I know I tried. I know I tried my best. And I really feel so grateful for every opportunity that I've had. And I know that, and I'm picturing them very specifically in my mind, it's due to certain people. I'm not saying it's due to them that I did a good job, but it's due to them that I got the chance to do it. I know it was. And so that is a really powerful statement. And it's not 10 or 12 people. I'm thinking of like 3 people. And that's all it takes to really get you that opportunity. I don't know if that resonates with you, but that's been my experience.
I did a podcast series a couple of years ago to interview 30 really influential women in accounting. Mm-hmm. One of the questions I asked them was, who helped you along the way? Because a lot of them, all of them, spoke about how difficult it was to break in and to move up.
Right.
Because it is still a man's world. Even though there are slightly more accounting females than males, males still occupy the majority of leadership positions in the accounting space. So it has been a fight, and there's lots of reasons for that. And the women said the first obstacle I had to overcome was there was nobody like me in leadership. So I had to break new ground.
Yeah.
But when I asked them who helped you along the way, I was expecting that the answers would be other strong women that had already gone down that road. But a lot of them came out to be men.
Yeah.
Experienced men at high levels that got it. They opened more doors for a lot of these women. And you make a really good point. It doesn't need to be 20 people.
Right.
Let's find those chickens that will lay the most eggs.
Yes.
And nurture
Yes.
those in your network. Could be just 3 or 4, but they will open so many doors for you. They will shout the loudest for you when you're not there. They will defend you when you're attacked.
Yes.
They will educate people on what you do in a way that you might not be able to do it. And because they're not you, it's not selling, is it? It's not trying to convince people.
Right.
So how do we get those on side? So asking the question I'm a great believer in mapping out your network.
Yes.
Almost like
Yes.
an org chart.
Yes.
And
Yes.
saying not necessarily who is my champion, but who could be. Who do I need to get closer to?
I love this. It's like you're in my head. So we just had an event, Elevate. It's a conference essentially for resource managers. It's based
Yeah.
here in the UK. And I did a quick, and when I say quick, it was quick. It was like, I think we were supposed to be 15 minutes. I think it was 14. And I just did this quick hit kind of networking, assess your network exercise.
It was the event of the year, I heard.
It was I mean, you weren't there, but yeah, next year. So this event was incredible in a lot of ways, but it is so true what you just described, that your network it's so important. And I don't think people really understand that. I don't think they do. I think, to your point, mapping it out is so important, whether it's an org chart or quadrants or whatever you do. But if you don't have these, at least a few people,
Sponsors.
a few sponsors,
Yeah.
you're really doing yourself such a disservice. I that is one of the things that I wish that I could tell everyone, and I certainly wish that I could tell every resource manager that is kind of struggling. But I also understand the flip side of that, which is it's not easy to find them. I get that.
Some people don't care about resource management.
Correct.
And in all sectors, there'll be people that are just head down,
Yep.
doing their job, very tactical. A more strategic mind thinks more widely. How
Right.
does that area of the business affect that area of the business?
Right.
And what is that person doing there? But some people are so head down, narrow, focused, and they don't make great leaders. They make great tacticians,
Yes.
great technical
Yes.
people. So mapping out your network is really important in looking beyond your office, beyond your little enclave, beyond your group and your team.
Yeah.
And even looking at the politics of a company. And
Yes.
so who's in favor? Who has the ear of the person at the top?
Yes.
Who has influence? Who has authority? Who's driving decisions? Who has budget? Who has credibility? And befriending them, getting alongside them, you might have to kiss a few frogs.
Mm-hmm.
Because not all of them are going to take you on. Not all of them will understand. Not all of them will have the bandwidth for it. But you only need one or two to get alongside you, to lift you up, to shine a light on you when you're not there, and to be that sponsor, that champion.
Yes.
So it's part of the selling process. We're selling two things. We're selling the idea of resource management,
Right.
the fact that it's important, it's needed, and this is why. But we're then selling beyond that. For problems like this, you come to me. So
Right.
not resource management as much as, okay, and I'm the resource management guy.
Right.
I'm the girl. I'm the one that stands at the doorway of all of these resources. And I'm the one solely that sees how all of these resources fit together.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. I'm thinking about, I'm processing all these different things, and I really want to highlight, I want to highlight all of it, but I really, really want to highlight the, I guess I'll call it political landscape of the organization.
It's delicate, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
we're getting
power
we said we were
brokers.
gonna get deep today. So I the reason I want to highlight that, one is because it's fun, but it's also because I have found that it takes at times a long time to figure that out. And a lot of times, sadly, people figure that out because they've been burned. They've learned the hard way that, hey, there's this layer. So the reason I really want to think about this with you is I'm not suggesting, and I certainly don't think you're suggesting that we need to be, Game of Thrones here, but it is important for success in I don't care what industry you're in or what role you're in, to understand the lay of the land, I guess is maybe the way that I would describe it. I think it's just as valuable to understand where you fit in. You use the term, who's in favor, who's not. This is a really, I don't want to say volatile, but it's a really disrupted time right now, especially in particular in the public accounting industry. And what that means is that you're getting firms that are merging together, and you're not going to have two leaders over one practice, right? You've got people moving into different roles. You've got succession plans that are happening maybe sooner than you would have thought. You've got all kinds of people feeling all kinds of things. And I do find that in particular in my profession, resource management, the way that people feel matters a lot. And the reason for that is it's two things. One, if they're the individual who is being assigned, who is being aligned to an engagement or a project, if it's advisory, of course they're going to have a lot of feelings about it. It's their career. They have their own career aspirations. They deserve to have all the feelings, right, about their own career. You've got a partner that feels a lot of things too. That partner feels very strongly about who they want on their team. They feel very strongly about where their people get aligned. They feel very strongly about being, quote unquote, told what to do. And therefore, it really becomes, I don't want to say a battlefield, but when you're the resource manager, I will tell you, and anyone in this profession would agree that yes, it's about communication, but it's about strategy and being able to navigate that, right? So if you, I remember I would kind of prep, I remember this very vividly. I'd have to make the call, and I'd have to tell the partner that, this other part of the firm, this person is, the engagement has been selected for PCAOB review. Well, I need to get every single one of the people that was on that job that ever touched that work, and I need to pull them so that they can be prepped by the risk team. The partner knows that, of course, this needs to happen, but do you think they're happy with me when I make that phone call? So this is what's very interesting to me about this. I don't know if political landscape is the right word, but it's not easy to figure it out.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
It's not for the
faint-hearted. Those are very courageous conversations.
Yes.
Navigating the political landscape and the egos.
Yes.
And the agendas.
Yes.
Many of which are hidden.
Many of which
in
are hidden.
professional firms.
Yes.
Is so difficult. One thing, and resource managers tend to be a little bit younger these days because they get people, they get the millennials, they get the younger generations, are doing is forgetting the old guard.
Yeah.
And concentrating on who are the up-and-comers.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they partners of the future?
Mm-hmm.
Who's moving and shaking in the lower echelons of the firm? Who's going places? Who can I attach myself to or align with and we can move up together. We can influence policy together. We can shout louder.
I like that. Yeah.
So when we talk about those champions and sponsors, that's a level above, maybe a generation above or a little bit older,
Sure.
more senior. But what about your peers? What about people that get you, that are going out for a coffee and a lunch with you most days? They're at your level. They understand your challenges. And they might get up there before you do, or they might be talking to influential people before
Right.
you. So let's keep telling our stories to them and telling them what we're working on and what we're struggling with. Because, those conversations are difficult. And you've got to make tough calls. And you've got to fight a lot of fires.
Yes.
And put out a lot of blazes.
Yes.
and you've got to get rid of a few people, a few wrong uns, as we say here in England. It's
like that.
difficult. Who
Yeah.
would want to do that?
Well, I was just saying this to someone. I said that a friend of mine, I described what I do, and she said, that sounds terrible. Why would you want to do that as a job?
Wait, you told me recently you spoke to the NYPD, the New York Police
I did.
Department.
I did.
And you told me a great story about how they really had very little idea about what resource management was. And you
Zero.
were
They had
talking-
no idea.
You were talking to all
Yeah.
kinds of different rank and file in the
Yeah.
police force.
Yep.
Where did you get them to?
They, at the end of that, it was funny. I said I had kind of taught them all about, resource management and really applied it to what they deal with. It was 750 plus executives from the NYPD, captain and above. And it was really cool, by the way. It was in police headquarters, and it was like super, just very, very exciting to be there. And essentially I made it about what they're dealing with, right? So the seasonality of their business, which in public accounting is, busy season and the seasonality, they have the seasonality of their business too, because they have, for example, the St. Patrick's Day parade that happens every March in New York that they need.
Massive.
It's big. They have the Times Square on New Year's Eve. That's big. So they know that they have these certain predictable things. They also have a lot of unpredictable things. This is not a presentation about that, but you see how I really want to talk about. I really want to talk about the arm piece to this. The point is, I said to them at the beginning, I said, "Who here?" I said, "What's your title?" And it was, captain. "What's your title?" And it was, whatever it is. I don't know the titles. And I said, "And who's a resource manager? Raise your hands." And they're just like looking at me. And I'm like, "So what if I told you if every single one of you is a resource manager?" And then I kind of, walk them through it. And at the end, it was this funny thing. It's like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a resource manager." We had them kind of say that. So, but yeah, it's exactly what you're describing. Exactly that.
Stakeholder management is a well-used term in human resources. Mm-hmm. So we're managing all the different stakeholders,
Yes.
all the different players who all want different things and see things in different ways and have different priorities. So yeah, it's a people thing. And where good resource managers work is that they have, you divide people into those are people and those are task people. And resource managers need a foot in both worlds because they need to be able to get stuff done and move the pieces around the chessboard and deploy all the resources and make sure all the bases are covered. But they've also got to be great with people. Because it's no good just being a good technician and knowing how to do it. You've got to then communicate all your decisions and make the business case for everything that you're doing and win hearts and minds and have those emotional conversations. And humans are very complex, emotional, sensitive creatures.
Yes. Especially
like
public accounting partners.
Yeah, it's not like a spreadsheet or a whiteboard where it's inanimate and there are very defined outcomes. You can have the same conversation with one person on 3 different days and get 3 different outcomes. And this is where the good people can navigate those complexities. And it's difficult to have a foot in both worlds or to have a skill set in knowing what needs doing and how to do it and communicating that message in a way that gets everybody on side.
Yes.
So the beasts that you are, the animals in the jungle, are very rare. And you generally get people, I would imagine, that are good at one and not so good at the other, so they've got to shore up those skills.
Yes.
Because if they are great on the people side and they are good at the technical side, they will go up a lot faster. We've all got skills to learn. We're in a very disrupted world.
Yes.
You hinted at it earlier. I've spoken to you before about this term VUCA.
Yes.
It speaks to how difficult things are at the moment. COVID birthed this term VUCA, which stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. There's a bit of that around all the time, but when COVID happens, the world is tipped upside down in an instant. So we went through this 10x of VUCA. There was so much more volatility. Things are going up and down. There was so much more uncertainty. Businesses were trying to keep the lights on. And accountants, as advisors, were trying to not just help keep the businesses alive, but being therapists and psychiatrists and coaches and shoulders to cry on amidst all that uncertainty.
Right.
This complexity. If we do this, that's probably got 5 different possible outcomes. And then there's ambiguity. Well, what does this actually mean? So many different interpretations of that. So resource managers and people like that are dealing with such VUCA. How do you make long-term plans? This is why predictions are hard. We used to be able to do 5-year plans and 3-year plans.
Yes.
And then when COVID hit, we were doing 90-day plans and hoping
Right.
that things were similar at the
Everyone,
beginning.
we were just trying to survive.
We were.
Yeah.
So resource managers have to deploy resources over a period of time. It's not just a job, an event, a project, one and done.
Right.
It's an ongoing evolution and moving all the different pieces around, and they go and they come in, and it's difficult. But let's communicate that it's difficult,
Yes.
because if people think that your job is easy, where's the credibility in that?
So that is so powerful, and you're exactly right. It is, part of it is in I'm hearing what you're describing, and I'm wondering if part of the problem is that it's very easy. It's very easy to have had a day of senior people being mad at you.
Yeah.
And then have to go into a meeting to share some data that they're also not going to like.
It's bad news, right? You're
right.
going to deliver bad news.
And have them already be in a bad mood for whatever's happening, on their client. It's very easy to feel like this isn't the time to, come in and have a party. But the thing about it is, I actually wonder if really what we're doing wrong isn't that. I wonder if it's, look, you're going to feel how you're going to feel, but keeping in mind what you just described. And yeah, at the end of the day, I still have to go into the meeting and I still have to give them this data, and they're still not going to like it. But it really kind of brings an example to mind. And I haven't thought about this in a while, so this is interesting. We had an individual, she was on my team at the time. She supported resource management for a particular, a specific business unit. And they were freaking out because it was like close to busy season, say it was like, I don't know, October or early October, and they still had a bunch of open needs, which, by the way, is every single accounting firm in the world is going to have still some open needs going into busy season. This is like what this business is.
Gotta love busy season.
They gotta love busy season. So she goes in to give an update on the progress, which was tremendous from the week before. But yes, there were still open needs. And that poor woman, it was like she was being attacked by vultures. And I said, I happened to be there. And I said, look, there are open needs. Is there a significant amount of open needs? You're right about that too. It was like 500 hours that had been filled from, it was like that Monday to Wednesday.
Okay.
That the team was also actively continuing to work on. And I said, by the way, last year, the practice was about the same size. And at this point last year, you had 2,000 more hours of open needs for busy season. So calm down. Like we have to, and the thing that bothered me about it wasn't even that. What bothered me was actually the person on my team who was sitting there just like, and I'm thinking, one, I'm glad I was there to, I guess you could say, support. But on the other hand, what I'm really thinking about now is in self-reflecting is what I really should have been doing was arming my team with, hey, if you're going to go into this situation, these are the kind of things that you should have. It would be a good idea to have off the top of your head to know where you were versus last year, for example, if that's going to paint a better picture. I don't know. Am I getting to something here?
Of course, you've got to be weaponized.
Yes.
You've got to be armed and dangerous because they will come for you. You're the bearer of bad news.
And you're an easy scapegoat too.
You are.
It is so easy to shoot the messenger.
Yeah. So you've got to be weaponized in getting those FAQs ready and the answers ready, and showing progress is a great way to build faith in what you're doing. Showing a good outcome is a great way to build faith. In England, we call it a curriculum vitae. You call it a resume.
Yes.
Recruiters look at one particular part of a resume more than any other. And it's not qualifications, it's experience. Because the experience section says, this is what I've done before, so I can do it again. They want evidence that you can go into a situation and have some kind of track record. So it's a really important part. So in managing tough situations like that, if you have had good outcomes, let's talk about those. Let's talk about the progress. Let's talk about the achievements. It gives you credibility to say, I've done this before and I can do it again. You've just got to trust me and trust the process. People are scared of what they don't understand.
Yes.
And they're scared of the VUCA, that volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. So as leaders of any service line like resource management, we've got to bring clarity and we've got to bring context. Context is the bigger picture. Hey, I know you've seen this, but here's how far we've come.
Yes.
Here's where we were last year. That's context. Context is if we keep going like this, we'll be here. But if we don't do this, we're going to be a long way short. So it's painting that future as well of good, smart choices here, get us there. Undermining my work and what I'm doing and where we're going and the whole process and the program and my leadership here gets us there.
Yes. Yes.
That's context. That's perspective.
That's a great, I believe it's a great tip in general, but it's a really, really great tip for resource managers in the trenches right now who are they're actively right now at this time of year is when they're having unpleasant interactions. Let's just say, right?
Okay.
And so I think that the context is really a great practical tip. Hopefully we can release this episode sooner rather than later so that they can hear that.
Context is a cornerstone of influence. You're not just saying to people, here's what's happening. You're saying, here's why it matters.
Yes.
And here's how it fits into everything else.
In the grand scheme of things.
It's that panning out to strategic issues rather than tactical issues. This is my inbox. This is my to-do list. This is no. Resource managers and people like them have to manage the agendas of everyone else as well.
Yes.
So that wider
and come out surviving still.
It is.
They're walking through this minefield, and then the goal is to still be here at the end of it, right?
They've got to be thick-skinned for sure.
Very much so. And it's interesting too because as I'm thinking through everything you're describing, and I'm actually I feel myself getting excited because I'm like, yes, people can do this and they can use this information. I'm also thinking about the bigger picture, which is it's not just about resource management, right? A lot of our audience is in at least in the professional services world of some kind. Many of them are in the public accounting space. Mm-hmm. I know that, and we've said it 3 or 4 times now, even in this episode, the disruption, there's so much going on. I'm curious, in order to better educate themselves, but also to better understand who their clients are, right? Those internal stakeholders. What is going on at a broader level within the public accounting industry that would be helpful to understand? I know that that's a super broad question, but I know that there's a lot going on and that you have a lot of perspective on this. What are you hearing?
Let me just share one thought before I hit that, because it's really important. A sales guy I knew back in the day called Andy Bounty taught me this about handling objections. So if you're in a room and you're selling something, you're selling an idea, a program, an initiative, an outcome, and people have objections, they have rebuttals, they have things that they're not happy with. He said either they can bring it up, you can bring it up, or nobody brings it up.
Okay.
Now, it's dangerous if nobody brings it up because nobody says anything and they all go out of that room and they're all unhappy.
Yes.
You don't want that. They can bring it up and you're on the back foot because you don't know what they're going to come at you with. So how about if you bring it up? So as you're delivering a presentation or some bad news, this is to the resource management professionals out there, you might say, I'm going to open this up for questions in a minute, but if I was sat where you are, I'd be thinking, why didn't we do this last year?
Right.
Or if I was you right now, I might be thinking, And you come up with the objection. This is too expensive. This is going to cost too much. This is going to take too long. So you bring it up before they do. And what I would say to you is this. And the answer to that is, so you're already getting into their heads.
Yes.
That's really good to weaponize yourself, because then you're scared of nothing.
Yeah.
So
That's really good, really, really good advice, by the way. So I hope everyone wrote that down, or stop, pause, rewind.
Let's talk about the
Let's do
wider
it again.
game here
Please.
of accounting. Because accounting and the whole technology ecosystem that surrounds it is moving at a faster pace of change now than most accounting firms can absorb.
Mm-hmm.
That presents both pressure and opportunity. We hear such a lot about stress and overwhelm and overload and people not coping in busy seasons. And yes, all of that is in play. No one's pretending that being an accounting professional is an easy ride. It's tough. It can be long hours. It's rewarding, like teaching. My daughter's a teacher. My son-in-law is a teacher. I have been a teacher. It's one of those very noble professions,
Yes.
but it's very hard work. So we're not getting away from that. Busy season's always going to be there unless they change the legislation. But accountants are in an environment where they have to adapt and they have to change. To just try and keep hold of the pace of change. And it's never going to be slower than it is right now. So when we look at the key drivers of disruption, the key drivers of change, cynically we could say accountants never change anything unless they're mandated by law to do so. In other words, that business regulation, that changing tax laws and things like that, they'll do that. But accounting has been ever thus for thousands of years.
Right.
But there's so much going on right now. As we said earlier, that AI is the new Excel. So AI is a big disruptor of change. If you asked firms last year, it was a fad. It was, we don't know what it's going to do. You ask them this year, this is here to stay. This is changing the game. And the accounting firms that do really well are the ones that are acknowledging that and saying, and we're going to train our people on it. Because people are curious and excited, but the higher up you go in an accounting firm, the more excited they are, the more engaged they are with AI. So bring your people along for that journey and train them and mentor them and get everyone excited, because it is a game changer for accounting. For good and bad, the pressure, the opportunity. Because a lot of the things that accountants would take hours and days to do, like an audit, you can do with the push of a few buttons now. That's a frightening concept.
Yeah.
When 50% of your job can be done by automation,
Right.
where does that leave you and your authority and your value to the firm? So AI is in play as a disruptor. You mentioned private equity earlier. You had Alan Coltin on the show.
We did?
He's the sage of this space.
Yes.
And he spoke a lot about what's happening and how disruptive it is and how it's changing the game. You put yourself in the position of a 5-10 year accountant coming out of university. They're not a partner, probably. They're not in a decision-making capacity. They can't affect what happens at the firm. But how do you think they're feeling with all of that VUCA and this private equity coming in, or we've just merged with this firm, or what does that mean for me and my family? And the $1,000 I've got to find every month for healthcare, and the childcare I've got to do, and the mortgage I've got to pay. All of these things are in play on an individual level for people. There's so much uncertainty.
Yes.
So private equity and the consolidation going on, that's changing the game. Most of the big firms now are either have or are talking about taking private equity money. It's really difficult for firms to stay out of it and stay independent and hold their own space. Now, it's doable, but these firms employ thousands of people.
Right.
But actually, in the US, for instance, the majority of firms are just 1-2 people and a couple of support staff, and they're turning over $1 million or less. That's the majority of accountants in the US. How are they doing? What are they feeling? They haven't got a team. They haven't got a resource manager.
Right.
They want to grow. They want to stay alive. So all of this is in play. A lot of disruption. It's making a lot of people unsettled. It's making long-term planning really, really difficult. And planning is the number one word for resource managers. How do we plan things?
Exactly.
How do we keep things going? So technology is fast. AI is fast. private equity and mergers and acquisitions is fast. If you ask people, what are your biggest concerns for the next couple of years? It's talent and it's technology. It's those two T's. And everything else comes through those two. And don't resource managers have to manage talent and manage technology and put all of that together and make the clock tick?
Absolutely.
Make the boat go fast or the car go fast, and you have your heads under the hood and looking at the engine and all the moving parts and making sure we can get where we need to be ahead of schedule. Being good at change, managing change, is the number one skill. When I ask people, what do leaders need to do more of or get better at to cope with the fast pace of change, it's being adaptable. It's being agile. It's being willing to change. And they say the mark of an educated person is the degree to which you're willing to let go of old ways of thinking and embrace new ways of thinking and change your mind on things and change your mindset on things and your attitude to things. Now, resource managers, from what I know, some of the most agile thinkers in the world because they're constantly on their feet, pivoting and moving that around, and that didn't work, so I've got to try this. They're extremely resourceful. The clue's in the name, resource management.
That's true.
But goodness, if there was ever a time for them to step up and show their credentials, you don't want to be resource managing in a world that's simple and easy and everything's there for you, because when the sun's shining, anybody can make money. It's when the storm clouds are out and you don't know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow, that's when you really earn your money and you earn that credibility and respect of others. Jim Rohn used to say, don't wish it was easy, wish you were better.
Oh.
Don't pray for more. Don't pray for less problems. Pray for more skills.
Oh, I have never heard that before.
Because if you pray for less problems, it's going to be easier for everybody. How can you stand out there? Because you could be an idiot and make money. You could be an idiot and be successful, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Don't pray for less problems. Pray for more skills. Don't wish that it were easier. Wish you were better. Because
That's
all
awesome.
of the challenges and problems going on, if you've got anything about you, you will develop character, you will develop resilience, you will develop endurance, you will develop a whole new skill set that's going to take you and everyone around you forward. That's the vision, isn't it? That's what's going to help us.
I love it. It's phenomenal. And as I told you, my only challenge was going to be how I could possibly fit all this into one episode. So I don't know what's going to happen
2 hours
here. I don't know. It's like, what day is it? I don't even know what's happening here. But I got so much out of it. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna ask you 2 or 3 just quick, kind of one or the other questions.
Let's go for it, because we're unscripted here, aren't we?
Yeah, this is
flying.
RM Unplugged. So let's see. Day or night?
Night.
Dine in or dine out?
Dine in.
Dog or cat?
Dog.
Nice.
I had to catch your accent then because I thought you said dog or hat. And I thought, I don't wear a hat.
Well, dog or hat? What would you pick, dog or hat?
It's a this or that. Dog. My
Still
wife's
dog.
got me into dogs.
So still,
actually.
even if you're offered a hat, you're going to go for a dog?
Yes,
Just to
I
clarify.
would,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Yeah. Are you a hat person?
I could be. Depends.
Okay.
It depends on what it depends on what mood I'm in. So we'll see. Maybe next time we'll do this.
Okay.
We'll both
Are
wear
you
our favorite
sweet
hat.
or savory?
Both.
Okay. Are you too hot or too cold?
You just couldn't help yourself, right? You had to also. Am I too hot or too cold?
Do you prefer to be too hot or too cold?
Hot.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
A skiing holiday or a beach holiday?
You went over, and both is the answer.
Okay.
Thank you. And
It's a
with
good
that,
game
we
to
will
play.
be wrapping up our episode for today.
This has been
Thank
the
you
Resource
so
Revolution
much, Rob,
podcast.
for being on my podcast. And really, really appreciate everyone tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, and I know you did, go ahead and like and subscribe to our podcast, Resource Revolution, on your podcast platform of choice. And thank you so much for joining us and tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for being on my show, Christine Robinson, and for being on my Resource Revolution
Cut.
podcast.
Cut.